The insistent, almost cheerful chime of my phone's emergency alert system dragged me from a surprisingly vivid dream about being chased by sentient garden gnomes wielding rusty trowels. I groaned, swatting blindly at the nightstand until my fingers connected with the cool glass of the screen. Rubbing the sleep from my eyes, I squinted at the flashing red banner that dominated the display. Emergency alert. Multiple civilian disappearances reported near Area 12. Remain indoors until further notice. Tune into local news channels and official government broadcasts for updates. Area 12? My brain, still sluggish with sleep inertia, struggled to place it. Was that near Palmdale? Or further out toward the desert? I knew vaguely there were military installations scattered around the Mojave, places with numbers instead of names, shrouded in the usual government secrecy that bred more conspiracy theories than actual information. Disappearances, though, that was a bit dramatic, even for Southern California, where emergency alert could mean anything from a brush fire to a particularly aggressive coyote sighting. Probably some hikers got lost, wandered too close to some restricted zone, and the authorities were just being overly cautious. It happened. Still, the remain indoors part felt a little pointed. I glanced at the clock in the corner of the screen. 6:33 a.m. Tuesday. Ugh. Already dreading the commute. The 405 was going to be a parking lot, as usual. Maybe this Area 12 incident would thin out traffic a bit. Silver linings, right? I swung my legs out of bed. The familiar creak of the old mattress springs a comforting sound in the pre-dawn quiet of my apartment. The air had that crisp, slightly metallic edge that always seemed to precede a Santa Ana wind event, promising a day of dry heat and scratchy throats. I shuffled to the kitchen, my internal autopilot engaging, already running through the motions of coffee brewing and toast popping. The smell of dark roast filled the small space, momentarily pushing back the lingering unease sparked by the emergency alert. Coffee first, then panic. That was my motto. As the coffee gurgled into the pot, I flicked on the small kitchen TV, flipping to Channel 6, my local news. The screen was a jarring wash of red and white, mirroring the alert on my phone, the same stark message crawling across the bottom of the screen, punctuated by the ominous klaxon of the emergency broadcast system. No anchor, no friendly morning show banter, just a relentless, repeating text. Emergency alert. Multiple civilian disappearances reported near Area 12. Remain indoors until further notice. Okay, that was definitely weird. Usually, even for minor alerts, they had someone on air, a calm, reassuring voice explaining the situation, downplaying the drama. This felt sterile, impersonal, almost automated, like a machine was telling us to be afraid, without bothering to explain why. I poured myself a mug, the steam warming my face, and walked to a window, peering out at the pre-dawn street. The neighborhood was still mostly asleep, shrouded in the soft, gray light of early morning. A lone jogger pounded the pavement, headphones in, seemingly oblivious to any potential disappearances. A couple of cars idled at the stop sign down the block, probably early commuters, their brake lights blinking red in the dim light. Everything looked normal. Too normal, maybe. The disconnect between the screaming allure on my screens and the quiet normalcy outside was unsettling, like a glitch in the Matrix, a discordant note in the everyday symphony of suburban life. I took a sip of coffee, the bitter liquid doing little to soothe the prickle of anxiety that was starting to form at the base of my neck. Maybe social media would have something more concrete, some actual information beyond the vague, fear-mongering alert. I pulled out my phone again, swiping away the persistent emergency banner to open Twitter. My feed, usually a chaotic mix of memes, political outrage, and cat videos, was different, almost uniformly focused on the emergency alert. Screenshots of phones, TVs, car radios, all displaying the same red warning, the same chilling message about disappearances and Area 12. Hashtags were trending. Hashtag Area 12. Hashtag disappearances, hashtag stay indoors. And the overall tone was a strange blend of morbid curiosity, nervous jokes, and a creeping undercurrent of genuine fear. People were speculating wildly, government cover-up, alien abduction, some kind of top-secret military experiment gone wrong. Area 12, it seemed, was instantly imbued with a sinister mystique, a focal point for all anxieties about the unknown. Beneath the jokes and speculation, though, I sensed a real unease. No one seemed to know anything concrete. No official explanations. No details about the disappearances. Just the same repeated warning to stay indoors and await further notice. And the further notice part was starting to feel less like reassurance and more like a threat. I scrolled further, desperately searching for something, anything, that would shed some light on the situation. Rumors were flying, whispers of strange lights in the sky near Area 12, reports of unusual animal behavior, even some truly outlandish claims about government mind control experiments. One tweet, from an account claiming to be a park ranger in the Angeles National Forest, mentioned finding disturbingly empty campsites and no signs of struggle just gone. Dismissed as unverified, of course, but still sent a shiver of unease down my spine. I switched over to Facebook, hoping for something more official, some kind of statement from local authorities. The LA County Sheriff's Department page was predictably overwhelmed, but their latest post was just a copy-paste of the emergency alert, urging residents to remain indoors and monitor official channels. No details, no explanations, just the same recycled warning. It was starting to feel less like official caution and more like stonewalling, like they knew something they weren't telling us, something genuinely bad, and were trying to keep a lid on it for as long as possible. My phone buzzed again, another emergency alert notification. This time, the message was slightly different, more specific. Emergency alert update. Mandatory shelter-in-place order issued for Los Angeles County. All non-essential businesses and services are closed until further notice. Remain indoors. Secure all doors and windows and await official instructions. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. This is not a drill. Those words, repeated for emphasis, hit me harder than the initial alert. They were stark, unambiguous, stripping away any lingering hope that this was some kind of mistake, some bureaucratic overreaction. This was real. Something was actually happening, and it was serious enough to warrant a countywide lockdown. I walked back to the window, peering out again. The street was definitely quieter now. The jogger was gone. The early commuters seemed to have vanished. A few cars were parked haphazardly along the curb, as if abandoned in a hurry. The air itself felt different. Still crisp, still metallic, but now with a subtle undercurrent of tension, like the silence was listening, waiting. I decided to call my office, see if anyone else was as freaked out as I was. I worked in a small accounting firm downtown, a soul-crushing but reliably stable job that paid the bills and kept my anxieties about the future at bay. Most of the time, I dialed my boss, Mr. Henderson's, number, letting it ring and ring. Voicemail. Okay, maybe he was still asleep. I tried Sarah, my co-worker, whose cubicle was right next to mine. Ring, 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 voicemail. Weird. Sarah was usually glued to her phone, practically surgically attached. For her to not answer, especially on a work day. I tried a few more numbers from my contact list, colleagues, friends, even my mom back in Ohio. Voicemail, voicemail, voicemail. It was like the entire city had fallen silent. Everyone swallowed up by the same digital void, except for the emergency alerts, which continued to buzz and flash on my phone with unnerving regularity. I switched back to TV, flipping to the channels again, desperately searching for any real news, any explanation beyond the robotic repetition of the emergency banner. Channel 6 was still stuck on the alert. Channel 4, same. Channel 9, ditto. Even the usually sensationalist cable news channels were locked in step. The same red banner, the same chilling message, like puppets on strings, all controlled by the same unseen hand. It was like the entire media landscape had been hijacked, reduced to a single, terrifying point of focus. I switched to the radio, hoping for something, anything different. Static, just white noises on every station I tried, AM and FM alike. It was like the airwaves themselves had been cleansed, scrubbed clean of all information, except for the official, ominous pronouncements. The silence in my apartment was deafening now, broken only by the low hum of the refrigerator and the increasingly frantic thumping of my own pulse. I felt utterly isolated, adrift in a sea of digital silence and manufactured fear. I went to my computer, hoping the internet, at least, might offer some unfiltered information, some dissenting voices. But the internet was just as chaotic and unreliable as social media, amplified tenfold. News websites were crashing under the weight of panicked traffic, timing out before they could even load. Official government websites were equally unresponsive, throwing up error messages and blank pages. The only things loading reliably were social media feeds, now a torrent of increasingly hysterical posts, conspiracy theories spiraling out of control, and outright misinformation spreading like wildfire. The nervous jokes had vanished entirely, replaced by raw, unfiltered panic and desperate pleas for information. People were reporting things, strange occurrences, flickering lights, unexplained noises, feelings of disorientation, even visions. Unverified, of course, dismissed as mass hysteria, but the sheer volume of reports, the consistency of the details, started to chip away at my skepticism. And then there were the disappearances themselves. No official numbers, no details, but the whispers were growing louder, the rumors more insistent. People claiming to know people who had vanished. Neighbors, co-workers, family members, just gone, without a trace, leaving behind empty houses, abandoned cars, unfinished meals, like they had simply ceased to exist. I looked out the window again. The street was deserted now, not just quiet, but truly deserted. No cars, no people, no animals, nothing. Just empty asphalt and silent buildings stretching out under the pale morning sky. The air was heavy, still, almost expectant, and there was a new sound now, barely perceptible at first, a low, rhythmic hum that seemed to vibrate through the very foundations of the building. It was faint, distant, but undeniably there, a deep, resonant thrumming that resonated in my chest, making my teeth ache. And the air was changing. The crisp, metallic edge was gone, replaced by a cloying sweetness, a sickly, almost floral scent that was both alluring and deeply unsettling. It was a kind of smell that triggered some primal alarm bell in my brain, a warning signal that screamed danger, even as my conscious mind struggled to identify the source. The sun was higher now, but the light was muted, diffused, as if filtered through some invisible veil. The usual bright California sunshine was strangely absent, replaced by a flat, gray light that cast no shadows, creating a sense of depthless, unreal flatness. It felt like the world outside was losing its definition, its texture becoming simplified. My phone buzzed again. Another emergency alert. This time, the message was shorter, more urgent, more final. Emergency alert. Threat level elevated to maximum. All residents must remain indoors. Do not attempt evacuation. Do not approach windows or doors. Maintain complete silence. Official containment protocols are now in full effect. Failure to comply will result in severe consequences. Severe consequences. That was new. The first hint of overt threat, of enforced compliance. Maintain complete silence. That was strange. Why silence? What could silence possibly do to protect us from whatever was happening? Unless the threat wasn't just something to be avoided, but something that could hear us. Something that was listening. The thought sent a jolt of icy fear through me, paralyzing me in place. I stood in the middle of my living room, frozen, listening to the low, rhythmic hum that vibrated through floorboards, the cloying sweetness of the air filling my nostrils, the flat, gray light filtering through the blinds. Silence. They wanted silence. I turned off the TV, the sudden absence of the static emergency banner, making the silence even more profound, more oppressive. I turned off my phone, silencing the incessant buzzing of the alerts, plunging myself into a digital void. Just silence, and the humming, and the smell, and the growing sense of dread that was tightening its grip around my heart. I moved to the center of the room, away from the windows, away from the doors, crouching down low, trying to make myself as small, as inconspicuous as possible. Silence. I held my breath, listening, straining to hear anything beyond the humming, anything that would tell me what was out there, what was coming. And then I heard it, Faint at first, almost imperceptible, but growing steadily louder, closer. Footsteps, slow, deliberate footsteps, echoing in the empty hallway outside my apartment. Heavy footsteps, not running, not panicked, but purposeful, like someone was searching for something or someone. The footsteps stopped outside my door, right outside my door. I froze, every muscle in my body clenched tight, my breath held in my lungs, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Silence, except for the humming and the heavy breathing in my own ears. And then a sound, a soft, almost delicate sound, a scratching sound at my door, like fingernails lightly scraping against the wood. Scratch, 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 slow, rhythmic, persistent. And then a voice, low, soft, almost musical. Hello. The voice was androgynous, neither male nor female, or perhaps both. It was strangely melodic, almost hypnotic, but with an undercurrent of something else, something cold, something inhuman. Hello? The voice repeated, slightly louder this time, the scratching continuing more insistent now. Is anyone there? Silence. I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't make a sound. Maintained complete silence. The alert echoed in my mind, a desperate warning. We know you're in there, the voice said, the musical quality now laced with a chilling edge. We can smell you. We can hear your thoughts. There's no point in hiding. Smell me? Hear my thoughts? What was that supposed to mean? The scratching stopped. Silence again, more profound than before, heavier, pregnant with unspoken threat. And then a new sound, a clicking sound, faint, metallic, coming from the door handle, like someone was trying to lock. Click, 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 slowly, deliberately, testing each tumbler, each pin, trying to get in. My breath hitched in my throat. I wanted to scream, to run, to do anything but just sit there, frozen in terror, listening to the clicking of the lock. Click, click, and then a louder click. A final click, the sound of the lock disengaging. The door handle turned. Slowly, deliberately, the door creaked open. Just a crack at first, a sliver of darkness widening into a gaping maw. And then it was fully open. Standing in my doorway was nothing, just empty hallway. Dimly lit, silent, deserted. No one there, just emptiness. Relief flooded through me. So intense it almost made me weak. It was gone. Whatever it was gone. It had tried to get in, but it had given up, moved on. I was safe. For now. I let out a shaky breath, the tension slowly draining from my muscles. I stood up, my legs stiff and trembling, and walked cautiously to the door, peering out into the hallway. Still empty, still silent, still deserted, but different, subtly different. The air in the hallway felt colder, and the light was dimmer. Somehow, the shadows deeper, more menacing. And the smell, the sweet floral scent was stronger here, almost overpowering, making my head spin. And there was something else now, something new, something visual. Faint at first, almost imperceptible, but definitely there, a shimmer, a subtle distortion of the air, like heat rising off asphalt on a hot day, but colder and darker, like the air itself was rippling, warping, becoming something else. The shimmer was spreading, growing, moving slowly down the hallway, towards me, like a wave of darkness, a wave of distortion, a wave of something indescribable. It was getting closer, closer and closer, and as it approached, the silence deepened, the humming intensified, the sweet smell became almost unbearable, and the air began to vibrate. Not just hum, but vibrate. Visibly, palpably vibrate. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, everything around me was shaking, trembling, resonating with the low, rhythmic thrumming that filled the apartment. The shimmer reached my doorway. It flowed into my apartment, like water, like smoke, like something that was both and neither. It enveloped me, surrounding me, pressing it on me from all sides. The air grew thick, heavy, almost solid. It became hard to breathe, hard to move, hard to even think. The humming intensified, becoming a deafening roar, drowning out all other sounds, all other thoughts. The sweet smell became overwhelming, cloying, suffocating, filling my lungs, my senses, my very being. And then the voice, no longer soft, musical, distant, now loud, resonant, inside my head, everywhere around me. We are here. The voice boomed, a chorus of voices, layered, harmonious, and humanly precise. We have found you. Resistance is futile. Assimilation is inevitable. Join us. Become one with us. You will be complete. Complete. The word echoed in my mind, resonating with a terrifying, seductive promise. Complete. No more fear, no more pain, no more loneliness, no more individuality. Just completion. Just oneness. Just them. The shimmer intensified, enveloping me completely, dissolving the boundaries of my body, my mind, myself. I felt myself dissolving, fading, becoming something else, something more, something collective. The fear was gone now, replaced by a strange serenity, a sense of belonging, a feeling of becoming part of something larger, something whole, complete. And then there was only silence, but not the empty, oppressive silence of before. This was a different silence, a full silence, a complete silence, a silence that contained everything and nothing. If you enjoyed this story and want to experience more tales of creeping dread that will make you question the silence around you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows me to delve deeper into the unsettling corners of imagination and bring you more stories that linger long after the screen fades to black. Hit that notification bell to ensure you never miss a new descent into darkness. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the silence is the loudest scream of all.